Yeah, I'm back. So here's another pet peeve of mine, NBA 2K15. Don't get me wrong, it's a good game, but there's a lot of things that they need to fix. The developers just need to fix. For instance, they introduced this whole idea of foot planting, right? In concept, in theory, I like foot planting because it kind of ensures that the movement is a little bit more realistic. The problem with foot planting is that it doesn't apply to the CPU when you're playing against the CPU in my career. It just foot planting is an issue that you the player has to deal with and your teammates. The CPU doesn't have to deal with foot planting. It's not really an issue. And so, if you're going to introduce things like foot planting that affect movement that which in turn affects your ability to play proper defense, then you need to implement that stuff equally on an equal basis so that things that happen to my player also happen to the CPU. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. Here, I'm the Knicks. I'm coming down on defense, playing against the Celtics. Celtics are getting ready to set up their offense. I am the point guard right here. Let's zoom in a little bit. Number 2, trailing my man right here. This is about my 7th or 8th season in the league. I'm a seasoned veteran with multiple, years under my belt. Anyway, so here's the play. Celtics set up. I have seen this play a lot. I know that the CPU, I know that my man Garden is going to run off this screen on the baseline and try to catch the ball somewhere around here, around the corner area 3-point line. They've run it on me a lot. I've played them enough times, 4 times a year, times 7, 8 years, whatever. So, CPU starts to go over the screen. Well, before I even tell you what happens, I'm going to just run the play in fast motion so you can see everything and see if you can pinpoint exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so you see that. This is the whole play. I'm going to tell you a number of things that happen. Now, CPU comes off the screen, off the bottom. I go over the top. So I've seen this before. I don't want to get caught up in an animation. Anytime you try and run over, 9 times anytime you try and run under a screen, you get caught in a silly animation. Either your teammate will help set a pick on you, or it'll suck you in like a vacuum whenever you try and whenever you try and run behind the player to trail him. You're going to get caught. So what do? I go over the top. I see the man, see the ball. Now the problem is that there's an automatic force field that prevents me from catching this ball. First of all, I should have intercepted the pass. This is the first thing that's wrong because I'm way in front of him. The CPU, number 9, makes a really bad pass. And there's a lot of animations that prevent you that when the CPU has to score, that prevent you from playing good defense. The defenders tend to get punished for playing defense with their feet more so than anything else in this game. Especially if the CPU needs to stay competitive and stay in the game, you'll see a lot of stuff. So what happens here? Ball's in the air. My man stops moving. Right here, here's a hitch in my animation. I don't know what that was about because I was moving forward to come and intercept the pass when it left his hand. But now I get pushed back, invisible wall, which allows this computer, my opponent, to catch the ball. And then my animation continues, and I'll notice a lot of times what happens in NBA 2K, a lot of movements happen that you don't call, that you don't command. Somebody catches the ball, your player takes 3 or 4 steps in a certain direction. Sometimes he runs half a court, and it's not anything that you have controlled. So it's very annoying because, when you're on defense, you're constantly struggling to prevent your player from making these automatic movements and engaging into these animations that have nothing to do with what you're trying to do and playing the act of actually playing defense, which is staying in front of your man. So right here, I'm fighting the computer because it's starting to get into some animation that all I wanted to do was take 1 step forward, and now it has put me out of position. And here is where I talk about foot planting. Let me come back to foot planting. Foot planting is your reversing direction, right? Now, when you play defense, you get beat a lot by players on offense who just cut to the basket, who just spin, drop on a dime, and foot planting only affects defense. It doesn't affect offensive players. And that's the problem with foot planting, with the whole concept of foot planting. It's not like you're only planting your feet when you're playing defense to change directions. You plant your feet, and the laws of physics apply to both offense and defense. So right here, the CPU catches the ball, and he reverses direction immediately. Immediately. No foot planting penalty, no nothing. And the foot planting penalty, and you'll see my player get caught up in some dumb animation. I didn't even jump. I didn't even press the button to jump. And so to create space, because the CPU needs to get loose, it puts you into those animations where your man starts scrambling and flailing his arms wildly and running off into the outer limits. And letting his opponent just have free run, free open jump shots, open layups, uncontested layups. But this is the thing that really annoys me. It's a really bad pet peeve because the concept of foot planting is good. The execution is terrible, in my opinion, because it's not anything that's 50% that's done 100% for defense and done 0% for offense. Is terrible implementation. So even if you like the idea of foot planting being in the game to make it more realistic, the fact that they could have made it work 100% well on defense, but the fact that it works shitty on offense makes the overall execution extremely terrible. So when do you catch the ball? When do you ever on offense catch the ball and reverse directions like this without any type of movement penalty? Never. So the problem is that now that I'm way out of the play, the CPU drives to the bucket and he picks up a foul because he's uncontested. He drives to the bucket all uncontested and just whatever. That's the end of the play. But the fact that I get stopped here, and there's a lot of invisible walls in this game. There's a lot of things that prevent you on defense. Like I said before, it prevents defense. The game penalizes defenders. You can't face up your man within a split second. You have to walk your man back and forth to get him to just even face the man that he's guarding sometimes, and that's a problem. That's an issue. You can't turn. He doesn't pivot properly. Pivoting and starting and stopping on defense has been an issue. It's been an issue for years in this game, and they just need to fix it once and for all. Just fix it. Let us pivot and turn properly. If you can pivot and turn on offense, it's the same physics that apply to offense that should apply to defense. The problem is that you have these animations. There's no freedom of movement. It's canned animations. And you need to change the, 2K, they need to change the animations because it hurts people that play defense, that like to play some type of defense. You don't have to smother people, but, they're playing defense. We shouldn't have to choose between playing smothering defense, which prevents people from scoring at all, and getting these animations which take us completely out of the play. Look at this. I'm up in the air. My offensive guy is taking 2-3 steps. He's at the bucket. He's all the way in. He catches the ball at the 3-point line. By the time the animation finishes playing, that I get forced into, that not even from a button press, just from trying to change direction, I get forced into an animation. By the time the animation finishes, my guy is at the rim. He's in the paint before I can even jump, land, hit the ground, turn, and come back. This guy's at the paint. And this game is a game of split-second, things that happen. Basketball is split-second reactions. One step. All it takes is one step to beat somebody to score. And, these things that happen when you're trying to play defense in this game, it's just a damn shame that you can't play good defense. Not even reaching. That's just an animation. What is this animation? This is why I had to stop the game, because I was like, what the hell is this animation? Now, I see this animation way too much. It's either a jump or it's like some kind of wild scramble where you're shuffling your feet and running way out of position. And it's just ridiculous. That shouldn't happen. And the fact that the foot planting only seems to have no effect on the CPU. CPU can do whatever. The CPU can always catch the ball, reverse direction. Look at this. He does a complete 180 with no penalty at all. He catches the ball and he's gone. Now I can appreciate that. I like that on offense. I've done that myself. I used to play high school, college ball, rec ball, pickup basketball in the park. Hey, everybody has made this move. But the problem is that you can make those moves on offense, but you can't defend those moves on defense. There's no defense. There's no sliding feet. And, yeah, people don't play a ton of defense in the pros, but, it's a far cry from this, from being forced into animations. When you tend to play good D, I notice that the CPU, it just seems to force you into more and more animations, and you spend a lot of time trying to maneuver your controller to prevent getting caught up in animations like this, that, where the CPU has to, do this in order to stay competitive. Anyway, that's my rant for now. 2K, fix your game, man, because this really